Hi cuties! So today it is my second unhaul. I don't unhaul usually, but it's time. I don't know if these unhauls actually help the amount of books that I own because I keep getting more, but they make me feel a little bit better knowing that I no longer have to feel the stress of reading these books because I'm just like, you know what? I'm not gonna read them, or they're books that I've read and I don't like. So there we go. Now, the thing about this unhaul is that I'm gonna give away some of them to you guys. I have a couple series, a couple trilogies, some standalones and stuff, and I'm going to pick 3 winners, and each winner will be allowed to either get a whole series, depending on what it is, or you can get like 2 or 3 standalones if that's what you want. It'll make more sense as they come up. I'm trying to limit them because, you know, shipping prices. Some of these series are big and heavy. One of them I won't be giving away, we're just getting rid of it, and that is, you know, Harry Potter. I have the entirety of the series in hardcover, and we're just getting rid of it because we don't support a turf. Bye-bye Harry Potter. On to the actual unhaul and giveaway options. You ready? So each of these has a different kind of reason why I'm getting rid of them. So the first one is this paperback series right here. I got a very important phone call, so I had to pause for a hot second. But anyway, we're gonna talk about the program series. So I have read the first 4 books in the program and I enjoyed them. I just don't think I'm gonna be in a place where I'm gonna read the last 2 books. Because it took me a while to get these books, and while I enjoyed the series, it is highly focused on mental health, and there is a lot of like suicide triggers that happen in this one. Sorry, the fan's blowing my hair in my face. I did enjoy this. I have so many more books that I want to be reading. I don't think I need the finale of this to kind of get the whole message or anything. So if you would like the entirety of the series, you may be able to win that. You may also, if you only just want like the first one or something, that's also, you don't have to take the whole series, but I am just gonna, I think it's time to unhaul these. I enjoyed them when I read them, which was a couple years ago. It just took a while to get the last 2, and then I just ended up not picking it up because it's pretty dark, and I'm kind of like, I didn't need, and I don't currently need any of the hard-hitting traumatic books right now, so they're okay. I like them. I think they were pretty well written and stuff, and I'm excited to read the other books I have by this author, but I think the program, it's time to let you go. Another big series I haven't read at all, but I have owned this series since like 2016 and have yet to pick it up, and I'm not going to pick them all up. I have 6 of the books. The 7th one is coming out either this year or next year, but that is Rotten Ruin by Jonathan Maberry. I got these at Second and Charles. You can still see the old sticker that I haven't been able to fully remove. It's a zombie book, and I'm not a huge fan of zombies. I'm not a Walking Dead fan or anything, so I am just gonna get rid of the series. I don't think I'm gonna be reading it. I did think it looked really interesting, but I'm just not part of that zombie. I'm not a zombie girl, guys. I'm not into it. We're actually getting rid of another zombie book later. So if you're super into zombies and you want either, you know, just the first book to test it out, or you want all 6 of these babies, I've got them. Okay, those are the 2 like big series that I have that I'm getting rid of. Let's talk about some trilogies that I have. The first one is a trilogy I absolutely love. Graceling by Kristen Cashore. These are great. They're all kind of companion novels. They're not exactly like a 1, 2, and 3, but I do recommend reading them as Graceling, Fire, and Bitterblue. And there is a new one coming out, I think called Winterkeep, but they're getting a cover redesign, and I really want those covers. I think they're gorgeous. So I am getting rid of these versions because I really want the new versions. Our first book here with Graceling involves Katza, who has the Graceling of what they think is death, that she's just really good at murdering people, which she totally is. But her Graceling is actually a little bit more complicated than that. It's her superpower. And there's kind of this conspiracy and intrigue, and it's big adventure. There's a good romance plot to it. I really, really enjoyed these books. I think they're really good. I think they're highly underrated. I don't think they got the hype that they deserved when they actually came out. So These books I really like, but I'm gonna get rid of them because I want the new copies, which have really nice covers. These covers are really good too. I don't hate these covers, I just really like the other ones better right now. So a trilogy that I've mostly read, I skimmed the last one because I wasn't enjoying it as much, but maybe you will, is Queen of Hearts. This is the Wonderland series, the Wonderland trilogy. It is kind of a twisted tale about the origin of the Queen of Hearts and the real story that happens there. First book is pretty good, I like it. I don't like how it ended up, is my problem. And unfortunately, I have them as 2 paperbacks and a hardcover, so that's the downside. But it involves our evil queen, Dinah. She is a princess, and her father doesn't like her very much, and he pulls out this new daughter that he supposedly had. There's a big conspiracy about it, and kind of like she has to end up going on the run because they're going to kill her. They stage the death of her brother, and well, he does die, but they pin it on her, and she's in love with this other character who's not necessarily in love with her, but he's her best friend. And that's the part that I really didn't like about this series, but maybe you'll enjoy it if you're a big Alice in Wonderland fan. That's the other thing. I'm not a huge fan of Alice in Wonderland, but you might like this more than I did. The next books are ones I haven't read. Again, I have owned them for a very long time, and I've just not gotten to them. I don't know if I ever will, because they just don't seem to hold the same amount of appeal to me now in my life. So that is The Inventor Secret by Andrea Kramer, and I also have the next 2 books, which are The Conjurer's Riddle and The Turncoat's Gambit. So they're steampunk series, and which I don't read a lot of steampunk. It's hard to do it well, I think, but I haven't read this, so I don't know if it does it well or not. Basic synopsis, because I literally don't remember it, is Charlotte has lived on the edge of Britain's industrial empire, hiding deep in the catacombs ever since she can remember. She and her fellow refugees are preparing for the day when they can rejoin the resistance and fight against the crown. But when an exile with no memory seeks shelter in their camp, he brings with him new dangers and secrets about the terrible futures that awaits them all. His presence compels them to leave the safety of the catacombs to seek answers in Britannia's exquisite floating city. But Charlotte finds more than just answers there, and navigating a world of high society and political intrigue turns out to be more treacherous than the revolution itself. Honestly, I feel like that's a really vague synopsis, but I just don't see myself. I also hate that they're mismatched covers, but you know, I hate when books do that, when they change covers, and I don't think I'm into this one as much as I was when I first picked it up, and I don't anticipate actually reading it anytime soon. So that is a series you can win. The final trilogy is another one I haven't read, and I just don't think I want to read it, but that is The Thousandth Floor by Katharine McGee. I've heard of this as it's like Gossip Girl, but the future or something, and I've never seen Gossip Girl, so I have no idea what that actually means. But it seems like I don't know, it deals with themes I'm not a huge fan of. There's a bunch of different characters. So the first one deals with a character called Lita, who has a flawless exterior, belies a secret addiction to a drug she never should have tried, and a boy she never should have touched. And then Eris Dodd Radson's beautiful carefree life falls to pieces when a heartbreaking betrayal tears her family apart. Rylan Meyer's job on one of the highest floors sweeps her into a world and a romance she never imagined. But will this new life cost Rylan her old one? And Wat Bakrati is a tech genius with a secret. He knows everything about everyone, but when he's hired to spy for an upper floor girl, he finds himself caught in a complicated web of lies. And there's more and stuff, but oh, and a girl genetically designed to be perfect. So, I don't know. I don't think it holds as much interest in me. I know people really love this trilogy, but I just don't see myself reading them. So I have The Dazzling Floor, or Dazzling Heights, and The Towering Sky are the trilogy for it. So, I don't know. I do have other books by Katharine McGee. I do want to read American Royals by her, but I just don't think this is a series I anticipate getting to anytime soon. And I have a duology, which is Bright Smoke, Cold Fire by Rosamund Hodge, and then Endless Water, Starless Sky. It's a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and I legitimately don't think I'll be getting to this. I don't know. I've heard like people love it, but I'm just tired of Romeo and Juliet stuff. Like I've mentioned before, not a huge fan of Romeo and Juliet. I am a Much Ado About Nothing girl, so but maybe you'll enjoy it if you're an R&J fan. Maybe you will like it way more than I would have. So not a full trilogy, but it's like there's a companion, a prequel, a sequel, and the first book, and I've read the first book and I just did not like it. But speaking of zombies and Romeo and Juliet, Warm Bodies. I have The Burning World and The New Hunger behind it here. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the first book, so I don't really feel like I'm gonna read the other ones. So maybe you'll like it more than I did. I didn't appreciate some of the fat shaming that was really going on in this book. It seemed like an awful lot happening. So there you go. I don't know. I just didn't like it. I don't anticipate reading the rest of it. So maybe you will. If not, it's fine. I know how to get rid of books. So I'm gonna go over some of the books that I haven't read yet. I'm gonna get rid of anyway, and then we'll talk about books that I have read. So the first one I have is Girl Stolen by April Henry. I read a different book by April Henry and it was okay. And this one feels like it's gonna be fairly similar, but it's a, you know, a thriller, a girl who is accidentally stolen in the back of a car. And probably, I think there's going to be a romance between her and the kidnapper, but he didn't mean to or something. I don't know. Conspiracies, all that stuff. The other book I read, what was it even called? I forget what it's called, but it deals with a girl with amnesia, and the ending of the plot just was like crazy and was like too much. It was too much that happened there, so we'll see. Well, no, we won't, but maybe you will. The next one is called Burning Midnight by Will McIntosh, and this deals with like these spheres that show up and a person who's really good at finding the spheres, and there's Sully, who is a sphere dealer. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'll read you the description, you can decide. Sully is a sphere dealer at a flea market. It doesn't pay much. Alex Holliday's stores have muscled out most of the independent sellers, but it helps him and his mom make rent. No one knows where the brilliant colored spheres came from. One day they were just there, hidden all over the earth like huge gemstones. Burn a pair and they make you a little better. An inch taller, skilled at math, better looking. The rarer the spheres, the more expensive and the greater the improvement. When Sully meets Hunter, a girl with a natural talent for finding spheres, the two start searching together. One day they find a gold, a color no one has ever seen. And when Alex Holliday learns what they have, he will go to any lengths, will use all of his wealth and power to take it from them. There's no question the gold is worth millions, but what does it actually do? None of them are aware of it yet. But the fate of the world rests on this little golden orb, because all the world fights over the spheres, but no one knows where they come from, what their powers are, or why they're here. So it's still kind of intriguing. I just don't anticipate reading this anytime soon. I have other stories that I feel are going to be a little bit more into my wheelhouse, but maybe that's intrigued you and you would like to win this book. The next one I'm getting rid of just because it doesn't match the cover, and I literally bought this book for $1 thinking it was gonna match the other one, and it doesn't because it's too short and I can't stand it. But that is Patrick Rothfuss. I can't say that name well. Patrick Rothfuss, The Wise Man Feared, which is the second book in the Kingkiller Chronicles. So I have the first one, Name of the Wind, and I really like the size and the cover of it, and this I thought was going to match it, but it doesn't. This is more of a mass market paperback version, and I just want to get a different one because I only spent $1 on it, so I don't feel bad about getting rid of it. But if you need the second book in the Kingkiller Chronicles, there you go. The last book that I have not read yet, but I'm going to get rid of, is Rochelle Mead's Game Board of the Gods. The reason I'm getting rid of this is there is a third book that is never coming out, and I don't want to read a trilogy that's not gonna trill. Rochelle Mead has posted about like how it's just not getting picked up by publishers. She could self-publish it at some point, but hasn't done it yet and doesn't anticipate doing it anytime soon. So I'm just gonna not put myself in the position of liking a book that's not gonna have an ending to it, because I don't like that. I don't want to read that, but maybe you do, and maybe you like Rochelle Mead's stuff. She's the same person who wrote Vampire Academy, which I did enjoy. I enjoy Vampire Academy. Don't come for me. But this deals with a futuristic world nearly destroyed by religious extremists. So I'm just gonna not have that one anymore. I'm just gonna set that aside and read her other books. Let's talk about books that I have read and I'm gonna get rid of. And the first one is Zero Bomb by M.T. Hill. I just didn't like it. You might like it. It is an adult book. It goes through different POVs with each section. And I kind of hated the dad in this, the main character, for the first section of it. Didn't care about him. Was a little confused by it. It just was, it felt a little highbrow to me, but I didn't grasp it. So maybe if you're more into the adult world of kind of science fiction and dystopia and stuff, you might like this more than I did. I definitely bought it because of the cover. I just didn't like it very much. So maybe you will if you want it. Next up is Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. This is a King Arthur retelling in space, and it's okay. It's just, it could have been better in my opinion. I just didn't really get it. I thought it was trying too hard to be not only King Arthur, but also the inclusivity of it with having a lot of queer representation. Like, I appreciate it, but it felt like it didn't mesh in the story. It kind of took you out of the story when it happened because it wasn't really flowing well with like character revelations and stuff. So it just, I think it just needed another, you know, a few more edits to make it actually flow better, but that's my opinion. You might like it more than me, especially if you're more into King Arthur. I'm not a huge fan of King Arthur stuff, so to each their own. Next up, we have We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor K. Mejia, or Mejia. I forget how to pronounce it. I'm so sorry. And this book, the first book I really did like. It's the second book I didn't really care for and kind of took it away from me. But this one I really, really liked. It deals with a dystopia where every man gets two wives, and one is the prima or the primera wife, and she handles all of the finances and, you know, administrative. She's more like a glorified secretary. And then the second wife, the segunda, is the child bearer and stuff. So these two kind of rivals from the same school become paired as this guy's wives, and there's more conspiracies. There's an underground rebellion happening, and it's really well done in this first book. I don't know what happened with the second one. So the first book is in Danny's. It's in Danny's POV. The second one is in Carmen's POV. The spoiler alert is that it's not really a spoiler because it kind of tells you that it's an LGBT book. The two wives end up falling in love with each other, which is really cute, and I love their relationship in the first one. I didn't quite get the connection in the second book. I don't know. It fell flat for me. It may not fall flat for you, but I only own the first one. So if you want to give this one a try, I did enjoy this first one a lot. So next up is Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. I was just confused this whole time. I don't know. I read it as an audiobook, and I feel like the first half of this is really good, and then it just lost me the second half. I don't know. I was just very confused by it. I think it could have been better, and it deals with phoenixes and stuff, but the world building of it was very confusing for me. I did read it as an audiobook, so maybe physically reading it would have been better, but I don't anticipate really wanting to read the second one, which is either just come out or about to come out, but maybe you will like it a little bit more. You can see my review of this one in the June reads. I read it in June, I think, or did I read it in July? June or July. That's when I read this one. And the next one is The Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. A lot of people like this book, so maybe you will like it. I just wasn't a huge fan. It deals with our character who ends up kind of living a loop where he meets this girl and he falls in love with her, and he's trying to save her because she has kind of a terminal illness, and he's trying to figure out a way to save her throughout all of these trials and stuff. And I just didn't really care for the ending and how certain versions of this go. I think it's like the fourth one that I really hate, in the time loops that he goes through. It's okay though. A lot of people really liked it. I just wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't really like how it ended, and I thought it could have done a little bit better with his growth, with how this story ends up. So I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan. You might be. Okay, next up, I feel a little bit bad, but it is an indie published book, but that is Color World by Rachel E. Kelly. I got this on a whim at a convention. It's not signed or anything because the author wasn't actually there. So it's not signed or anything. This one is so weird. It's a little bit of superheroes. The romance that happens in it is way too much. in my opinion. It doesn't, you kind of lose the big picture plot of these, you know, superpowers and stuff, and I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it goes way too fast. I've looked into the next books and I like, it's kind of insta-love, but it's like restrained insta-love, and then by the second book they're already getting married and having a baby or something, and I'm just like, no, thank you. And apparently that's because of the author's actual life, and I'm just like, nope, I'm good. I'm good without that, but maybe this is something that'll interest you. I do like the cover a lot. That's kind of why I picked it up. But I just didn't really enjoy it. So maybe you'll want it. If not, that's okay. The last one is one that's definitely going to be in this giveaway because I cannot sell it. It is an ARC, and ARCs you cannot sell for anything. So this is A Sweet Mess by J.C. Lee. It's an adult contemporary romance. So this one officially is going to be given away to someone. So if you specifically want this book, put that in the comments. If nobody actually ends up wanting this book, that's okay. I will donate it. But if you're really into contemporary romances that are kind of steamy and stuff, the beginning of this is really good. It just has baby plotline that I'm not a fan of, and it's cute though. It is very cute. It's very steamy. It's just not the type of adult contemporary that I want to have anymore. I enjoyed it. It wasn't a bad book, but it deals with this baker who accidentally gives out the wrong cake, or her staff does, to a food critic who gives her a terrible review and kind of puts her business in jeopardy, and then they end up working together to try to rebuild her reputation through this cooking show, and they end up, you know, falling head over heels. They actually have a one-night stand beforehand without knowing who the person really is, or knowing that she was the baker and then he's a food critic. They just have that happen to them. And it becomes a little bit awkward, but they, you know, fall in love and stuff, but there's drama, and it's very rom-com-y, so if you really like rom-coms, you'll get this, but I just really hated the baby plotline. I think this would have been really good if it didn't have the baby plotline. That's my unhaul! Woo! So to win in this giveaway, I'm going to pick 3 winners at random. This is what I want to see from you guys. 1, you have to be subscribed to me. 2, like the video. And 3, put a comment down below of which books you want the most, and recommend me a book. Recommend me something you think I might enjoy. And let's just talk about books for a little bit, okay? That's the video. If you guys have any other questions or comments, leave them down below, or on Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. Check out my Ko-fi page as well. You can commission me there. My shop is open for my own books if you want to get those. And support me as a content creator, and I'll see you next time, cuties. Bye! Gonna move these ones out of the way. Whoops, I'm gonna knock my camera as well.